The populist movement on the left, what's being called democratic socialism, the Cultural Alliance, with what I see as suggestive of some fundamentalist tendencies, the policies of how to break what crony capitalism has become. Why is the left excited? All right, let's bring in Ed and Brian Krassenstein. Now, these guys, I love them on social media, active, okay? Positive podcasters, but they can fight too. I have them come on at the same time, because they're twins, but they need each other in order to even come close for what's coming their way over here. No, fellas, thank you very much. Congratulations on the wins. Look, I wasn't surprised. Mamdani was a prohibitive favorite over my brother, especially with Sliwa there. New Jersey, Virginia, I'd say the same thing, but a good night for Democrats if you make it lead to something else. Let's deal with the easy part for me first, then the trickier part. Ed, I am not an Islamophobe, period. And it is not Islamophobic to say Zohran said a lot of stupid shite that he shouldn't have to get popular early on in his career. Now, as mayor, he better back away from it and be careful about who he has around him. That doesn't make me an Islamophobe. It makes me reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he said some things that he regrets saying, and I think he says some things that a lot of people are outraged about in his past. But I think people change, and I think people's views change. I think people say things for different reasons. And what he said during his campaign, I don't think, I think he didn't say anything wrong, at least not in my view.
Well, it's what he doesn't say, Brian, right? I think it's a layup to say, to the extent that anybody is using globalize the intifada to mean anywhere you can find Jews and Zionists, take the war to them, I'm not for that. And he gets tricky with things that scare Jews. But the election is over. We'll see how he handles it now. But we all know, I don't have to tell you guys, why Jewish brothers and sisters are nervous about this guy. Now let's talk about the economics. When I watch you, Brian, on social media, and people are coming after you, you're very quick to check them that they don't get what this really is. What is this really that is not fearful to you as a capitalist?
Yeah, I think it's about affordability. Like your show, you've been talking about affordability, and that's why Democrats won. It's because Donald Trump promised affordability, and we're getting the opposite. So Mamdani won because New Yorkers, they're being driven out of New York because of rent prices, their costs are skyrocketing in many big cities. So they voted for him not because of his views on Israel or Palestine. I mean, most of them didn't.
Half of them said it was very important to their vote.
Yeah, it's a fraction did, but also remember 30% of the Jewish population in New York favored Mamdani. So I think that says a lot as well. I think that
difference between a religious Jew and a cultural Jew when it comes to the Zionism issue. But look, on socialism, you're right. You're right. Young people who haven't been in the city a long time voted for him overwhelmingly. Maybe his strongest group other than foreign born, which doesn't mean what it does to some on the right, to me. I don't see that as code for illegals. I don't buy that BS. I think that it's foreign born and that he does have a synergy with them, and they respect the way people respected my father being first generation in the country coming up. It meant something to people. I'm okay with that. But in terms of the fixes, Ed, to bounce it back to you, free, tax the rich, it's just not that simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to tax the rich. As a mayor of New York City, you're going to have to get city council, the state legislature, even the governor in New York to be on your side. And I think that's going to be hard to do. When it comes to free public transportation, rent stability, I think that's something he can do. And I think most New Yorkers are supporting that, especially Gen Z. Gen Z is having trouble getting jobs. Gen Z sees different problems than the rest of us see, and I think that's why they identify so much with their candidate. I think there's a differing view, and they support Mamdani in that he supports them.
Mm-hmm. Listen, to me, It is the mirror image of MAGA. I mean, he checks all the same boxes Trump did. More personality than pedigree. He's a disruptor. The system doesn't like him. He identifies with people that he does not share a lived experience with. The guy's never had a hard day in his life. Neither had Trump. But people are desperate for better. And that's why I'm on this movement. Not because it beat my brother. I get that the Democrats didn't want what Andrew wants it to be about right now. That's the way it goes. But the city deserves better. I'll be watching. He deserves a chance because he won it. Brian, Ed, let's keep the conversation going. And man, you put me to shame. Look how nice the growth is that you guys have. And look at mine. I look like my grandmother if she was having a bad day. I'll talk to you later. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.